All right, so today we're diving into some pretty interesting stuff, I think.
Yeah.
We're cracking open Meta platforms. It's
Meta platform.
yeah, their Q2 2024 report. So,
Yeah. Last quarter, basically.
yeah, basically.
Facebook, or I guess we should say Meta, formerly known as Facebook,
Right, right.
they just released their performance for the last quarter.
Yeah. And we're going to dig into this.
Absolutely.
So, this is really interesting stuff for investors, right?
Oh, absolutely. This is, people use this information to figure out what's going on with the company, where it's headed.
Exactly. And this is the kind of stuff that it can seem kind of dry,
Sure.
but we're going to bring it to life.
Yeah.
We're going to tell you what's really going on.
I think a lot of people are really interested to see how Facebook is doing. I mean, everybody, I think, uses it or has used it in the past.
Right. Or Instagram, any of them.
Or Instagram. Right. Exactly. All part of the Meta umbrella now.
Exactly.
So we're looking at their Form 10Q, which is their quarterly report.
Right.
And that's the document that investors use to make decisions about buying or selling stock, that kind of thing.
And we're going to make it easy to understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Break it down.
So first, the big picture.
Yeah.
Meta's revenue is way up.
It's huge, yeah.
Huge 22% jump.
Yeah.
From last year.
Compared to the same quarter last year.
Reaching $39.07 billion.
Yeah.
That's billion with a B.
A lot of money.
Yeah. So big success for them there.
Yeah. And I think what's really interesting is that a lot of that growth, in fact, the majority of that growth is coming from advertising, which is interesting because they've had all those challenges with privacy changes on their platform.
Right, right.
Apple made some changes a while back that made it harder for them to track users across apps and websites, and everybody thought that was going to be a real problem for them.
Yeah.
But it looks like they've managed to figure out a way to navigate that, at least for now.
Right.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah, and that's what's so fascinating about following a company, because they're always having to adapt and change and figure out these new ways to do things.
Absolutely.
But wait, there's more.
There's always more.
So it's not just advertising, right?
Yep.
Their non-advertising revenue is also through the roof.
That's right. 79% increase.
Wow.
Which is a massive jump.
Massive, massive.
So that includes things like their WhatsApp business platform,
Okay.
which is becoming more and more popular.
Yeah.
And also those Meta Quest VR headsets.
Oh, yeah, everybody's talking about the metaverse.
That's right. They're trying to be at the forefront of that,
Yeah.
which is still kind of this future thing.
Yeah.
But, this could be a sign that it's becoming less future and more present. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting.
Definitely something to keep an eye on for sure.
For sure.
Okay, so, they're making all this money,
Cool.
but how many people are actually using these platforms, right?
Right.
Because that's the other side of this.
Sure.
And get this, over 3 billion people are using Meta's apps every single day.
That's a lot of people.
Every single day. That's like if you took China and India combined.
Yeah, it's hard to even fathom that many people.
It's mind-boggling.
Uh-huh.
And what's even more amazing is that that's actually a 7% increase from last year.
Wow, so they're still growing.
They're still growing,
Oh.
which is crazy because you think about how many other apps and platforms are out there, social media platforms vying for our attention.
Right. You've got TikTok and Snapchat.
Yeah,
and
hold
the
on.
list goes on and on.
Yes.
So the fact that they're still able to grow their user base like that is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it really goes to show you the power of
The power of connection.
connection, of social media.
Exactly. People want to connect with each other.
They want to share those cat videos.
Absolutely. Gotta love a good cat video.
Gotta love a good cat video. But, let's not get too excited about all the good news here.
Right.
Because even with these amazing numbers, there are some potential bumps in the road for Meta.
Yeah, there are always challenges,
Always.
especially in the tech world.
Right. And that's what we're going to dig into next.
Exactly. Got to look at both sides of the coin.
Absolutely.
The good and the not so good.
Yeah, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even with these massive profits,
That's exactly.
there's got to be some costs involved.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, running a tech giant like Meta, it's not cheap.
It's not like they're just printing money.
No, definitely not.
Well, maybe they are, I don't know, metaphorically speaking.
Metaphorically, perhaps.
But seriously, though, the report mentions their expenses are also increasing.
Yeah, that's right.
Especially when it comes to, like, infrastructure and all that stuff.
Yeah, they're spending a ton on data centers.
Which makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, think about how much data they're processing every single day.
It's mind-boggling.
With billions of users.
Billions.
It's got to be stored somewhere.
Exactly. And those data centers are not cheap to build or maintain.
Right. They're practically like cities in themselves.
They are, with all the servers and cooling systems and everything else.
Yeah, so it's definitely something to keep in mind because if those costs keep going up,
Right.
it could affect their profits down the line.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance between growth and sustainability.
Right, exactly.
Can't just keep spending without making sure it makes sense in the long run.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so expenses, that's one thing. But then there's also this whole other area,
Yeah.
which is the legal and regulatory stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's always a fun one, right?
Always a joy.
The legal stuff never goes away.
Never goes away, especially in the tech world. It seems like there's always some new lawsuit or investigation.
Yeah, and Meta seems to be a bit of a magnet for that sort of thing.
Right. I mean, they're huge, so it's bound to happen.
Yeah. With great power comes great responsibility, or at least great scrutiny, I guess.
Right, something like that.
So yeah, the report mentions that they're still facing some legal challenges, particularly around antitrust and data privacy.
Yeah, those are the big ones these days.
They are, and they're not going away anytime soon.
No, definitely not.
I mean, remember that whole Cambridge Analytica thing a while back?
Oh, yeah, that was a whole
That really put data privacy on the map in a big way.
Yeah, it made everyone realize how much data these companies actually have.
Exactly.
And how it can be used.
For better or worse.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, that's something that's still hanging over Meta's head.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be a while before it goes away completely.
Probably.
But let's shift gears a bit because we've talked about the challenges.
Yeah.
But what about the future? What's next for Meta?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is, and luckily this report gives us some clues.
It does. It does.
And let me tell you, it's pretty exciting stuff.
It is. They're making some big bets, that's for sure.
Yeah, and the biggest one seems to be this whole artificial intelligence thing.
AI, yeah, that's the buzzword of the century, isn't it?
It really is, but it's more than just a buzzword. It's like
It's transforming everything.
everything.
The way we live, the way we work, the way we interact with the world.
And Meta wants to be at the forefront of that.
Absolutely. They're investing heavily in AI research and development.
Yeah, the report mentions they've got some major plans for 2025.
Yeah, they're going all in,
All in on AI.
which is both exciting and a little bit scary, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the possibilities are endless, but there are also a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, it's like stepping into uncharted territory.
Exactly.
But I guess that's what makes it so interesting.
It does. It keeps things interesting.
It really does make you wonder where it's all headed.
Yeah, for sure.
But, okay, so we've talked about AI, we've talked about expenses
Right.
and legal challenges.
The not so fun stuff.
Yeah, the less glamorous side of things. But there's one more thing I want to touch on from the report,
Okay, what's
and
next?
that's this whole thing about share-based compensation expense.
Ah, yes. The dreaded stock options.
It sounds kind of complicated.
It can be, but it's basically just a way for companies to pay their employees with stock instead of cash.
Okay, so like instead of getting a bonus, they get a piece of the company.
Exactly. It's a way to incentivize employees to help the company succeed, because if the company's stock goes up, their shares are worth more.
Right, makes sense.
But it also creates this expense for the company.
How so?
Well, because those stock options represent a potential future payout.
Okay.
So the company has to account for that expense on their books, even though they haven't actually paid out any cash yet.
So it's like a future debt, kind of?
In a way, yeah.
And in Meta's case, this expense is pretty big.
Yeah, they mentioned a number of like $40 billion.
Billion with a B.
Billion with a B.
Wow.
So that's something that investors will definitely be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, because if Meta's stock price were to go down, for example,
Right.
that expense could become a bigger problem.
Exactly. It's all connected.
Wow, it's like a financial house of cards.
Sort of, yeah. Everything's
Like-
intertwined.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here today.
We have. It's been a wild ride through Meta's financial report.
It has, but I think we've given our listeners a pretty good overview of what's going on with the company.
Absolutely. We've talked about the good, the bad, and the potentially ugly.
The exciting and the uncertain.
Exactly.
And I think the big takeaway here is that Meta is facing some real challenges,
Oh, for sure.
but they're also making big moves to adapt and evolve.
Yeah, they're not standing still, that's for sure.
No, they're not.
They're pushing the boundaries, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
It is. It's like watching a giant chess game in slow motion.
It really is.
And we're all just pawns in their game.
Maybe, maybe not. But either way, it's a game worth paying attention to.
Absolutely. So, listeners, keep your eyes peeled and your ears to the ground because this is one story that's far from over.
Far from over.
All right, that's it for our deep dive into Meta's latest report. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to geek out on this stuff.
Anytime. Until next time.
See ya.